Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pixar Movie Reviews. I'm Josiah Milky, and today, following Toy Story 3, which was Pixar's biggest hit yet, Pixar struggled for the next few years. You saw in my last review, if you saw it, that Cars 2 is regarded by many to be Pixar's worst film ever in terms of critical reviews. I personally don't feel that way. If you missed my Cars 2 review, you can go check it out for yourself to see what I think about Cars 2. The next couple Pixar movies were better with critical reviews, and also did good at the box office, but didn't quite match up to the heights of some of Pixar's more successful features. A good example of this is the Pixar movie that came out right after Cars 2, Pixar's 13th movie and first princess story, and a matter of fact, its only princess story, Brave. Released at theaters summer 2012, so this was the year after Cars 2, Brave, because it's a princess story, originally had Pixar's first female director, Brenda Chapman, a story artist at Disney who years ago, for DreamWorks, was one of the directors of The Prince of Egypt. Unfortunately, due to creative differences, Brenda was kicked off the project and replaced by Mark Andrews, a Pixar story artist making his feature directing debut on the film after having co-directed with Andrea Jimenez on One Man Band, the short film that preceded Cars in theaters. Both Mark and Brenda get directing credit on the film, with the co-director being Pixar story artist Steve Purcell, who went on to direct the Toy Story Christmas special, Toy Story That Time Forgot. Brave was released at theaters summer 2012 and did actually really well at the box office, bringing in about $540 million worldwide. However, that ranked it in the middle of Pixar's movies up to that point. Higher than the first two Toy Story films, A Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc., Cars, and WALL-E, but lower than Toy Story 3, The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Finding Nemo, Up, and even Pixar's latest film before Brave, Cars 2. So Brave ranked smack dab in the middle of Pixar's movies in terms of money at that point. It also got better reviews than Cars 2, but not as good reviews as many of Pixar's films. On Rotten Tomatoes, it currently only holds 78%, just 3 or 4% higher than the original Cars. My family and I saw Brave at the drive-in theater in Newton, Iowa. One of the first times, if not the first time, at least since my childhood that I wouldn't remember because I was a kid, that we actually got to see a movie at a drive-in. It was a pretty good experience, except for the bright lights from the screen. But while Brave is enjoyable, it's easily not the best Pixar movie ever. I'll explain why after I give a brief plot synopsis. It's a princess story, and the star of the film is Merida, who lives in the Kingdom of Dunbrock with her parents, King Fergus and Queen Eleanor, and her little triplet brothers who all look the same and don't say anything. Merida loves her family, particularly her father and her brothers, but has trouble getting along with her mom, who wants Merida to be a proper princess. When three lords and their sons come to compete for the hand of Merida in marriage, Merida, of course, wants nothing to do with them and ends up defying tradition and goes to an old witch who pretends to be a wood carver in hopes of changing her fate. The witch gives Merida an enchanted cake to feed her mother that will change her fate, but in turn, it transforms Eleanor into a bear. And this is a big problem because her dad hates bears. He lost his leg in the prologue of the film to the evil demon bear Mordu, and has been plotting to kill Mordu ever since. Now it's up to Merida and her mom to learn to bond again to break the spell and get Eleanor back to normal before Fergus starts hunting his own wife. Brave has a few positive elements. First of all, I like that Merida is fiery and wants to do things differently, unlike many of the classic princesses who just want true love. Merida's more along the lines of characters like Jasmine and eventually Elsa and Moana, who want to do things differently than what their kingdom wants. But unlike those other princesses, Merida also has a special talent for archery, which is something she inherited from her dad. And throughout the film, she learns that as long as you have good connections to your family, it's okay to also enjoy different things like archery. Also, the animation is kind of nice. Not as good as past Pixar movies, but it evokes Scottish traditions. Also, the music is rather good by Patrick Doyle, with a few songs sung by the likes of Julie Fowlis and Mumford & Sons and people like that. Of course, Disney princess movies from the Walt Disney Animation Studios are musicals. Brave is not, because it's Pixar, but still, the music is pretty good. Having recently rewatched it earlier this year, when I rewatched all 20 Pixar movies prior to the release of Toy Story 4, Brave was pretty low on my list. I only have it currently at number 20, which before Toy Story 4 came out, it was number 19. Now it's number 20. But that makes it my second least favorite Pixar movie of all time, only above Ratatouille. And there's good reason for that. Walt Disney Animation Studios was known for doing the princess stories, and Pixar was known for doing the action-adventure stories. In 2012, they reversed it, and Pixar did the princess story with Brave, and Disney did the action-adventure story with Wreck-It Ralph. Brave made slightly more money than Wreck-It Ralph did, but Wreck-It Ralph got better reviews. And of course, we all know the conundrum of what happened with Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards when Brave beat out Wreck-It Ralph, when clearly Wreck-It Ralph should have won that year. Walt Disney Animation Studios would eventually win Best Animated Feature for the first time ever at the Academy Awards the following year with Frozen, but that's another story. There are a lot of elements in Brave that don't work so well, like the family dynamic, the princess that doesn't want to do what others want her to do. We've seen that before with Disney. People turning into bears. That was a big problem on Brother Bear, at least for some people. And of course, we know Brother Bear was a critical failure compared to Brave. Also, we get to know... Mostly we just get to know Merida and her mom. I mean, we get a little bit King Ferguson, the Witch, and the Triplets, and Mordu. But other than that, the supporting cast really isn't one of the strongest supporting casts ever. It really isn't until the climax that other characters like King Ferguson and the Lords get any sort of significant role in the story. And even then, they're pretty underutilized. While I understand Pixar trying to do something different with Brave, trying to do a princess story, I feel like, in the end, when you compare this to the princess film the following year, which was Frozen, from Walt Disney Animation Studios, it seems everything they tried to do to twist the princess story and do something different that failed on Brave was made a lot better with Frozen. And so, I think Pixar has learned their lesson that they should save the princess stories, leave the princess stories to Walt Disney Animation Studios, and just stick to what they know, which is comedic characters, action and adventure, great storytelling, incredible music, and all that. So, what do you think about Brave? Like I said, it did pretty well at the box office and got decently good critical reviews, but it was still pretty low compared to other Pixar films. It also won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature when Wreck-It Ralph clearly should have won. And like I said, Brave is my second least favorite Pixar movie ever. Ratatouille is still my least favorite, but Brave is a very close second least favorite. So let me know what you think of Brave. Do you think it works? Do you think it not works? Where are you at on it? Let me know. And thanks for joining me. I'm Josiah Milky. Thanks for watching.